Well, another atrocity has been committed, this time killing 14 and injuring 21. And as many have suspected from the beginning, the blame lies on
workplace violence.
What? No.
Right-wing rhetoric.
No.
White people?
Islamic extremism. That's what's to blame, once again. As it turns out, the shooters were well armed, well prepared, and well indoctrinated. According to the FBI, the shooters were big fans of Islamic extremism, including one of them posting a pledge of allegiance to the leader of ISIS, and thus the FBI are treating it as a terrorist attack. And if you were one of those people who thought the media wouldn't turn its attention from weird facts and focus on the real culprit,
I don't really blame the wife, and I don't view this as a terrorist, jihadist type of activity. I think this is a workplace issue.
His coworkers has kind of made fun of him, for example, and his beard.
Right.
We are the terrorists. What does it take? This isn't a fucking democracy. The NRA. How dare you, man?
Oh my God.
yes, once again, the progressive left and their media butt buddies are focusing on, you guessed it, guns. In fact, in response to the San Bernardino shooting, the New Yorker put this on the cover of their rag to make the point that obtaining a gun and some grenades is as easy as going to the supermarket for some f***ing artichokes. Calls for stricter gun laws and outright bans have once again resurfaced, and Obama is only too ready to ride the waves of crisis into the shores of opportunity. According to the New York Times, advisors say they are still struggling to find a way for Mr. Obama to use his executive powers and tighten restriction on gun sales, sidestepping a gridlocked Congress. While he has ordered officials to find a way for him to act unilaterally, aides said that they have run into legal and political hurdles that make that difficult. Those political and legal hurdles being the system of checks and balances we installed into our government from the beginning to stop presidents from ruling like kings. Damn that Constitution! But gun grabbers rail their heads off all the time about this stuff, and it's always the same thing. So in this video, I'm going to tackle the 4 things I hear the most. You can also find the article I wrote that I'm basing this video on at everyjoe.com, and I'll link the article in the description.
If we didn't have guns, we wouldn't have gun deaths. Let's get rid of them.
Of all the things I hear gun grabbers say, this is by far the largest fantasy that they indulge. Rest assured, you will never get rid of all the guns in the United States. First off, it's not clear exactly how many Americans own guns, but the conservative estimate is based around 1 in 3. And even then, we're not sure the number of guns owned per individual because we're not required to give that information up, and many of us aren't willing to. Due to the pure enormity of the number of firearms in the United States, the government could never collect them all, even if they were to suddenly pass a ban, which they can't do anyway because of the Second Amendment. They would have to go door to door searching every crevice of every home, which they can't do anyway because it would violate the Fourth Amendment.
That I must have my men enter your home and conduct a thorough search.
Speaking of the Second Amendment, our founding fathers put that in place so that we could protect ourselves from oppressive entities, be it foreign governments or domestic. Having just defeated an oppressive power, they knew how governments could get, and they didn't want to take the chance that ours would behave. Remember, the Second Amendment is not there to protect us from deer and clay pigeons, it's there to protect us from oppression. And that includes government. Now, with all that said, many on the gun rights side make the argument that if guns were banned, only criminals would have them. And while they are correct, they're not as correct as they're letting on.
Yeah, I think we can all be a little sneaky sometimes.
I know many Americans have had conversations with their family and friends about what they would do to protect their firearms in case a ban was passed. I know for a fact that many of them have detailed plans to see to it that their guns are never found, and I do believe that they would succeed. Furthermore, you can see how many Americans have the exact same idea by the way gun sales spike after an atrocity happens and the government starts to knee-jerk about it. You will never find all the guns in America, and people will always be armed here. So you might as well just put that in the bad idea trash pile right next to TPP and intersectional feminism.
Then we need stricter gun laws. Make them harder to get.
For who? Certainly not criminals. They typically don't buy their guns at gun stores. In fact, a recent survey found that 70% of criminals admitted to acquiring their gun through acquaintances. They have to, because those background checks that progressives think don't exist actually prevent the sale of guns to criminals. So what do you want, tougher background checks? You'd be making it harder for actual law-abiding citizens to get their hands on guns, and those are the people that you want armed. Make it illegal to buy guns through proxy? Already a law. Make people register their guns? Yeah, good luck with that. New York and Chicago already proved that dog won't hunt.
Maybe we should create more gun-free zones.
Well, that's where people are dying. 92% of mass shootings have happened in gun-free zones since 2009. There's not much more that can be done legislatively to prevent criminals from getting guns because criminals don't follow laws. And if we learned anything from history, it's the more government cracks down on something, the more both criminals and average citizens alike tend to brush it off. In fact, tougher laws tend to make criminals out of everyday citizens. Just ask anyone who's gone to jail for having weed on them.
Well, in other countries, strict gun laws are saving lives.
First off, we're not other countries, and we've done damn well for ourselves not being like them. In fact, it seems the more we try to be like them, the worse off we are. Secondly, are those laws really saving lives? Yes.
Really?
Yeah, but also no.
Oh.
Lately, the trend has been to use Australia as a model for just how well gun bans work. Now, while homicide rates did go down after Australia banned guns, America was seeing a similar dip in homicide rates, only we were making more. That casts a lot of shade on the anti-gun advocates' proof that gun control works. But it doesn't stop there. Stephen Gutowski of YouTube's Games&Guns noted, according to the Australian government's own statistics, the number of serious crimes peaked in the years after the ban. Manslaughter, sexual assault, kidnapping, armed robbery, and unarmed robbery all saw peaks in the years following the ban, and most remain near or above pre-ban rates. It should also be noted that Australia's gun homicide rate was already falling before their ban in '96. So the idea that banning guns makes us safer is not all that accurate, and maybe following the lead of others is not that great of an idea.
Well, at least I'm trying to do something. I don't see you doing anything to solve the problem.
Actually, many on the pro-gun side have been volunteering many different ways to fix it, but it so rarely involves being tougher on guns that many anti-gun advocates just dismiss it out of hand.
I'm not listening.
I'll give you a few here. First off, get rid of gun-free zones. They obviously don't work, yet people keep trying to pretend like making a law against carrying a gun somewhere will stop criminals from doing so.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Secondly, it's been proven that more guns equals less crime. According to the data, we've only increased firearm ownership and crime has gone down. So we should be wise enough to do the simple math here. If you need another great example, Kennesaw, Georgia promotes gun ownership and their crime rate is lower than their surrounding area. Pure logic says that if someone has to weigh their life against the crime that they're going to commit, they're probably going to choose their life, so it only makes sense to arm the populace. It apparently makes sense to Panama too, because they recently decided to follow our example and are now starting to be more lax on their gun laws in order to curb its crime problem. Lastly, we need to stop spending so much time trying to convince the populace that guns are dangerous and scary. Believe me when I tell you that no one knows how dangerous guns are better than an educated gun owner. Instead, let's put effort into properly teaching people how to handle firearms. It'll have a double effect of teaching people how to effectively defend themselves by using firearms and prevent accidents. So the next time politicians or the media try to get you to give up your rights because of the actions of a few, you tell them to
Kiss my ass?
later.